had the chance to sit down with who I think is the UK's #1 hypest Warzone player, Lenun. He'd actually told me after we had recorded this was the first time he's really ever been able to sort of share his story and how he got into gaming. And I thought that was really special. So I love the conversation we were able to have. We talked a lot about sort of how he did get into Warzone, really the event that changed his entire career. A hilarious clip that he's well known for with his mom coming in, giving him some words of encouragement, and as well just sort of his mentality lately in competitive Warzone, given honestly his team isn't doing that hot, but how they're trying to course correct that going into a big event later this year. I had a lot of fun talking to Len. He is one of my favorite players. He has been since all the way back in Verdansk. So hopefully you enjoy this as much as I did. A great conversation with Lenun. Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode. I am very excited today because we have UK's hypest Warzone player ever, in my opinion. Maybe I'm biased. I don't know. But we are here with my man, Lenun, who has agreed to sit down with us. It's going to be a fantastic day. How you doing today, Lenun? Most importantly, #1.
I'm really good, thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely.
I'm excited to share the experience.
Yeah, I mean, you were one of the first people to comment on the last episode, and so I was like, why would we not bring Lenun on? You know, that is my #1 thing, mainly because I've been following you obviously for a while. I was thinking about this and I was like, man, I remember very vividly, and I think it might be in one of my caster reels. There was a moment in Verdansk. It was like one of your first big tournaments where like you were over by Scrapyard and you got like a 3-piece, and I just remember you popping off. And I was like, this is like Justin, you're like kind of making a name for yourself. And I was like, this is my favorite guy now. Like, this is my favorite player just because of like how absolutely electric you got off of just that like one 3-piece. And it's just like one of those like fun moments to think about with a lot of these competitors. But I want to kind of kick things off with you because I surprisingly don't know a lot of your backstory. And I think it might be cool to kind of like delve into that. Like, how did you get to this point of, I'm kind of curious, like what is your competitive backstory with sort of even just gaming, and what was that spark or that moment that made you really say like, I want to be a Warzone competitor?
So, I mean, it went back to when I was in school, really. Like my competitive background, I've got a competitive background, and then I've got just me playing COD pubs with friends, all that stuff. Well, me playing COD with and pubs and with friends probably started back. I want to say like my first COD was like World at War Zombies.
Yep.
I went around to a friend's house, played a bit of Zombies. I guess I liked it because I got into COD from that route. And then from what I can remember as being a kid was being like Black Ops 2 League player.
Yep.
I got to Masters pretty quick on it. I was pretty. I like to say I was pretty good on it on Black Ops 2, and then Black Ops 3. Is when I got into the competitive style of things. So I was just literally pubbing with friends before that. I thought I was pretty good. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to get into the competitive side of things. So I started playing, if you know, game battles.
Absolutely.
If you know game battles. So yeah, I started playing game battles. And what I did, me and my friend at school, it's called Liam. He actually plays now. He's pretty good. We used to go in the library and used to go on the computers and schedule game battle matches at school. Yeah, we used to schedule game battle matches at school for when we got home to play them. That's how passionate it was.
Wow.
It all started then, yeah. And we just played game battles matches. We was pretty decent. I'd like to say we were pretty good. We lost a few, but we lost them one, and then we got into wagers. That's where like, this is on Search and Destroy, by the way. This is all on Search and Destroy. I was playing competitive Search and Destroy at the time. And then we got into the wagers side of things. And that's where we played websites like UMG, if you remember that.
Oh yeah.
Like back in the day, UMG, and then it was CMG, and then it was, I mean, Game Battles had tournaments too. I used to just run them. Played for like $1. I started out playing like $1 wagers. Match Finders used to be a section on UMG where it was called Match Finders. People used to post like low roll wagers, like $1 to $2. Used to accept it and play it. So like I got better at COD playing that because you used to play other like really good players.
Yeah.
Like just trying to make a name for yourself. They'd also be doing the same thing. So I just got better playing that. And I think that's what really got me like actually really good at COD is playing wagers from a pretty early stage. maybe like 13, 14, I think I played wages, or like the competitive GBs or anything. I played from like 13, 14, and I think that's what really got me like actually pretty good at COD.
Yeah.
Or I can't really remember. Maybe I was good at COD when I first started. I actually don't. I can't remember. I can't remember. It's that I have such a bad memory when I was a kid. I can't remember, but from what I do remember, I was pretty good.
Yeah.
When I after the wages, I was pretty good. And then after that wager period, Warzone came out, and I think was I 17 or 18? I can't remember. I think I was 18. I was in sixth form at the time, doing my A levels, and then Warzone came out, and then I grinded Warzone, just playing pubs, and I was dropping like 30 plus kill games most of the time. I had like a 5+ KD, which was really good back then. And then I thought to myself, why not enter like the TKRs? So back in the day, Verdansk used to be like the main tournaments was TKRs.
The only thing we had was TKRs.
The only thing. And right at the start, it was just TKRs. 2v2s wasn't really a thing until a little bit later on. So I started playing like the small TKRs just with a few mates that were pretty good. Like Liam, I was still playing with him. We played with another guy called Dino. I had a few other friends as well that I used to play with that were pretty good. And then I won a few of them. I was like, okay, right, I can Warzone. This might be the route I'm gonna go down, because I was pretty good and I was feeling confident. And I think just I kept playing like TV, and I started playing 2v2s, like just to CMG again on the match finders, CMGs, $1, whatever. And then it got to a period where I actually got an invite. I got picked up by Vikkstar for a tournament. It was my first big one. First ever tournament, and I was gassed because it's Vikkstar too. Vikkstar is massive, and I watched his videos, Cyber videos, and I was so gassed to play. It was me, him, and Louis CM. Yeah. So
that's a vibey squad.
yeah, it was good. It was a good squad. I enjoyed myself. It was a good time, and I ended up playing the tournament, and I dropped 40 kills in one of the games. Whew. And I went, I was screaming. I went rogue. I was like jumping up and down, like saying, "Get the fuck off me" and stuff. I was giving that energy, and then a few of Vikkstar's viewers came over to mine, started following me and stuff. We didn't really do too well, but I think it was just that game, that kind of like, you know, the 40 kill, people was gassing it, people came in, followed and stuff like that. So I kind of like started. That's where like the journey, my Twitch journey, the streams started popping off a little bit. So I remember after that, it was around Christmas time. This is what I remember. It was like I loaded my stream up, and I was like instantly on like 100+ viewers. I'm like thinking, what's going on? What is going on? And that was just after. I think it was just after that tournament. Yeah. I got like an influx of viewers. I'm thinking, what's going on here? And then it started getting consistent. I started getting 100+ viewers like consistently for like months and months and months. And then I ended up getting partner. Twitch partner, and I was gassed. There was probably some other tournaments in between that too that I played. I think I remember a Ravens one. I played it with Vapula. Yeah, we did pretty well. I think we came like 4th or something. Got a bit of money from that, and then I got in with Dukies. So this was like the first big sort of like door, like the second door to open. So the first door was like Vikkstar, getting in the tournament with Vikkstar. I'm playing with Vap and stuff like that. And then the second door was Dukies, because he was massive at the time. He still is massive, but it was massive. It was absolutely massive in Verdansk. He had like 2,000 viewers constantly. He was getting invites to tournaments. Everyone knew he was popping off. He was one of the best in the game. Yeah. So I got in with him, and he seen how good I was, picked me up. We played a 2v2. I think we came second. It was a Twitch Rivals one. That still hurts me, because the way we lost it was so it's. But yeah, we came second in that. I think we got like 7,500 each, something like that, 5,000 each, something like that. So that was a good performance. And then we started playing some 2v2s. And then I think, from what I remember, I think he actually dropped me and played with Delio again. He used to play with Delio, and then he picked me back up. And then I got dropped, and then he picked me back up. So it was a bit of a. It hit me a little bit, but it's all good.
It's reality check.
And then from after that, I just kept playing with him. We kept playing pubs, just vibing, 2v2s, all that stuff. And then boom, the third door opened, and this was me, Jukies, and FIFA Kill back in Verdansk.
Yeah.
We started playing tournaments together in the trio ones.
Yeah.
And the first one we played, we actually won it. It was Swag. It was the Swag 100k Invitational.
Yep.
It was 25,000 each for winning. We won it.
Woo!
And yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot of money. It's my biggest win to date. It was a lot. I was so buzzing when I won that. I was so gassed. That was such a big win. And yeah, we won that, and then we kind of started playing with each other, and then can't remember, was there any other tournaments? I think there was another tournament that we came second in and stuff. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that was like, that really set my whole Twitch off.
Yeah.
That was Verdansk, and then ever since then, I've just kept the constant like 150 to 200 viewers.
Yeah.
Around there. It was, I feel blessed because, I don't know, I started off like streaming like 20 viewers.
Yeah.
Started streaming by playing the wages, and then I suddenly got an influx, and I kept the consistency, and I've kept like my viewers and stuff, and I can't thank them enough because they're turning my life around. So definitely a blessing.
I feel like you are one of the perfect like blueprints that if I was like a young kid and just who felt I was pretty good at COD and was like, how do I live that dream, right? Of like being a streamer and like being a competitor and being able to do that. There are a few people I always like to look at, and I think you hit it right on the head where it's like consistency will always be key. And not only was it consistency for you in like just like streaming and creating content, but it was also like of consistently doing well also like in a lot of these events that were there. It's really cool to kind of hear you, because I feel like it's a lot of Warzone kids have like this similar sort of background of like played S&D wagers and I got really good at COD. Warzone comes out and I am just nasty at it, and just like you're slamming dads in Verdansk, right, to like drop 40s and stuff. It's really cool to be able to kind of like hear like that from your side, to be able to kind of come on in. I remember like that Vikkstar tournament, and I remember that Swag tournament too. I remember that first tournament you, FIFA Kill, and Jukies played together, because that was like a big deal, because like back in the day, it was at that time period, it was like you guys and then Wars, and then maybe one or two other, like VAP, I remember would play a lot too. It was like there wasn't a lot of like big UK players at that time, and it was like the three of you coming together felt like the Avengers, like for that tournament. It's like literally what it felt like, and it was like you came in and you just like absolutely slammed everybody, and we were like, whoa, like not only did you come in and slam, like you slammed at 120 ping, and that's why we were like, oh my gosh, like this is insane. So it's been really cool to kind of watch you go from that to like where you are now to like be this kind of member of the community, see your streams pop off. That run of you're going live tweet being something ridiculous every day, like I looked forward to it every day, just like because it was like usually you would be going live like as I woke up. So it'd always like be like I'm laying in bed scrolling my timeline, and I'd see something ridiculous, and it was awesome. So it's really cool to be able to see your journey from there. I want to talk a little bit more about like the kind of closer to today and the competitive side. Kind of obviously you talked about it a little bit, but EU since the beginning, I think we all know it's been a discussion that has kind of gotten the short end of the stick when it comes to competitive Warzone. And you were one of those early, kind of EU players to actually commit to like playing NA tournaments consistently and all the time, knowing that you're at a disadvantage, right? Knowing that you're not going to be on ping like a lot of these other guys, but you still did it and also performed on top of it. Where did that decision come from? Was it like a really just pure passion, like this is where I got to be if I want to try and make it? Or was there like a little bit more to that decision to like really commit to actually playing those tournaments and not just only play EU tournaments?
Exactly what you just said. It was the passion. It's like I thought the only way to make a name for yourself, or to make like a good bit of money from tournaments, would probably be playing and doing well in the American ones, because they're what get the most fund. So yeah, it was just pure passion. I just thought, listen, I've got to just do it. We're on 110 ping. We just got to throw out and try make a name, try show like what we're about, sort of thing, on high ping. Yeah, I think if you consistently do well on high ping, imagine what you can do off ping, on ping. Sorry. So like, I don't know, it's also a confidence boost too. I think if you kill like a good player on high ping, it gives you that sort of boost, doesn't? You know what I mean? Like sort of like boost that you get. So it just gives you like confidence too. It's just pure passion. I enter them for pure passion. And I love play. I still love playing tournaments, no matter what ping I'm on. To be honest, I love playing it. The ping does it does suck a little bit, but it's fine. I've got used to it. It's been like 4 years of me playing on like high ping, so I've kind of got used to it. But yeah, it still does definitely suck. But what can you do?
No, that's kind of a good point, right? And I feel like that's the attitude you have left. Now, granted, I would love to see the EU scene blow up, and you guys have your own 50 and 100Ks, right? That you force everybody else to come play on 110 ping. That'd be cool. I know we're getting a little bit of that, recently, but I know I was talking to FIFA Kill at the Miami LAN, earlier this year. And that was what he said. He was like, game one didn't go great for them. And he was like, I was like, dude, like, what's going on? What happened? He's like, brother, he's like, I'm used to playing 110 ping. He's like, I can actually ego chow things here. Like, he's like, I can actually like take fights that I normally would be like, I'm not winning this. He's like, I actually win them now. He's like, it like took him literally a whole map to like feel comfortable back in that moment again. Which is honestly why I get really excited for things like, these LAN tournaments that we do have, because I feel like for those of you who have been kind of playing, like you said, at that disadvantage, to now kind of have that taken off, it's really your time to shine. So I think that's really cool. I think kind of in that same vein, I'm curious about this with you. Do you feel like, with everything you've gone through, including recently, do you feel like you're an underrated player? Maybe not necessarily notoriety wise, but maybe in like a game sense wise, like if somebody sees Lenun on the map, do you think that there are people who kind of underrate your ability to perform?
Oh, 100%. I think, yeah, I feel like maybe recently, because we've not really been doing too well, people might just think our team's a bit of a pushover, just we're easy to kill or whatever. But I think myself, I'm a very underrated player. I think to be honest, on my day, I shoot so straight. I really believe that I'm like one of the best, like maybe top 5 in the game.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's just my confidence that I go in. Like when I'm shooting, I'm shooting. I'm definitely. My aim's ridiculous. I believe I'm fully like when I'm fully confident.
Yeah.
I really feel like I'm probably one of the top 5 players in the game. But confidence to me is one thing that like is very important, and I feel like if you don't have confidence, you ain't gonna be able to, like succeed. Really, it's like you need confidence, and I've always struggled with confidence in my whole life. Back when I used to play football, I never used to want the ball. I used to think that I'd just be rubbish on it, rubbish on the ball, bit shit. I used to never want it. I used to play right back, and I never used to want the ball. Ever. I never used to want it. And that's like a big confidence issue there, because I'm not bad at football. I was actually decent. I was pretty good. But my mind, I just didn't want the ball. I thought I was going to like fuck up. I thought I was going to let the team down. So I just never wanted it. So it's like, again, that also comes in at COD sometimes. Like sometimes maybe when I've lost a gunfight or I've done like a bit of a bad play or we've not really done well in the previous tournaments, that comes into the tournament for me, and I might feel a little bit down on the confidence. But what boosts the confidence up is when I win that good, like a good fight that I win, or like I make a good play, get a nice 2-piece, that also boosts up too, or winning a tournament, that boosts up. So yeah, I think confidence is definitely the most important thing for me. When I'm confident, I think I'm one of the best players in not one of the best players in the game, maybe top 5. I think I don't know.
I think there's definitely an argument to be made. I mean, there's a lot of things, but I it's something that we've heard consistently with other players is that like if you're able to play confidently on the map, like you just feel so much better, and that's where we have those takeover games by some of these teams, right? Because that's like my number one gripe lately has been like these teams who are able to clutch a win, and it's like you're clutching a win with like 9 kills total, and I'm like, what are we doing? Like, this is not, you're not going to win a tournament doing that, right? And so being able to have that confidence to go for those high kills, so at least then maybe make it to a decent multiplier, is like really, really crucial. And I think it's having the ability to play with that confidence sort of on your backside is such like a skill that you have to have. So it's cool to kind of hear you say that. it does make me want to bring something up that I want to talk about. You mentioned it, that obviously this has been kind of a rough start for you, Kill and Jukis, to this year. I feel like there were, moments where you guys came out and I'm watching the map and I'm like, what are we doing right now? Like, what are these plays? But then I would be like 3 days later, I'm watching a tournament and you guys are like going back to back to back on game wins and like absolutely slamming, basically the entire same lobby that was there. So it's been very hot and cold, right? You came in 18th, obviously in the EMEA regional finals. You're able to clutch up pretty convincingly in the LCQ. And to be able to make it to land, that's there. It's this pattern of hot and cold that is always really interesting. Do you attribute that a little bit to maybe this confidence thing you're talking about? Or is there some other factors that come into maybe why your team is so hot and cold? And maybe how do you think you can get to like a nice solid lukewarm state?
I don't think it's the confidence sort of thing. Because in the EU ones, like, I'm filled with confidence because I'm on ping. I'm shit like that like comes because I think like with our team, we're the best team in Europe. So at the time, we was confident going into them tournaments, really confident. We've we've been dominating like the EU scene for a while. I'd say like us three. There's a few other teams that also dominated too, but we're part of that. So we felt really confident going into it. So the confidence wasn't really a thing. I just think. I don't know. We just didn't play well. We just really played poor. Like it was poor. And it was pretty rough to see because I'm very passionate. I'm very passionate, and everyone that knows me knows how passionate I get. So I hate losing. And I hate playing bad. That's one thing for me. So when we played really bad in that, I think it was we played bad in both of the finals, right? Like
just the like EMEA one, really. I mean, the LCQ you came third, which is fine.
Yeah, even the LCQ though, we was still like on the edge. It took us last game to get the qualification. Do you know what I mean? We had to get a big last game and we got it. So we're still on the edge. So it's still like, we played a lot better in the LCQ, but again, there was worse teams and we didn't actually like play that good because we didn't qualify like within 3-4 games. It took to the last game. So it was definitely, again, it wasn't that great of a performance. It was all right. But I hold our team to a very high standard.
Sure.
We shouldn't even be in LCQ. We should be winning the finals, or at least top 3 at least. So yeah, I mean, this year it's been pretty bad so far. I've not really. It's probably my worst year that I've had competing. It's been pretty bad. I didn't really do too well at the EWC. Not really been doing too well in World Series of Warzone so far. The finals is still going up, so you can definitely show out. The scrims have been going pretty poor, to be honest. So it's not looking too great, but we've got a few things we're going to cook up. And I'm sure us three as players, we're going to turn up on a day. I believe that we easily can. We'll turn up on a day and we'll prove why we are one of the best teams in Europe and in the game. So I'm excited for World Series. I'm really excited.
Yeah.
But I think the poor performance, I think what really came down to maybe lack of preparation because we was that confident. Maybe that like we wasn't really like that prepared. But I think in the second one was, from what I remember, I think I made like a map of where teams landed.
Yeah,
and seeing like where people landed and stuff like that. I'm usually the one that like makes spots up where we should land and stuff. There was a spot we landed in the LCQ. We landed like in City. There was a good spot where we landed. And we was getting good starts every single time, which is very important, I think, in Warzone, is having a good start, getting your load out straight away, wiping the first team that you fight. That really sets you off. So he's getting that every time, pretty much, in that spot. But I think one of the biggest issues in one of the finals, we didn't actually have a landing spot. We just landed wherever, and that's poor. We should not.
That's tough.
That's tough, yeah, because we landed on teams that like are probably used to that area, used to landing there. So we just got wiped a lot of times off the rip. So that's pretty poor. That was one of the reasons why we played bad in one of them. I'm trying to think because we played bad in 2 of them. We played bad in the finals of like the quals finals, and then we played the actual finals where you qualified. I think we qualified to the finals, but we came like 18th, and then we played the finals and we didn't was it top 14 or top 12?
Yeah, it was like top
12, right?
yeah, it was top 12. Yeah.
Top 12. So we came like 15th, 16th, and then we got put in the LCQ. So we played bad in 2 of them. And I think one of them we didn't have a landing spot, but the 2 were second when we did, I think.
Yeah.
Or maybe it didn't go well. One of the 2, I can't remember. But yeah, we just played bad.
People don't realize how important having a landing spot really is sometimes, because dude, hearing it from you, I played a tournament not too long ago. It was like it was just the one where like everybody was over 30. And I can tell you, like, just trying to regain on a map where like everybody is good and everybody has an area they're holding down is so hard. It is wild. And to not have that like dedicated spot that you feel confident that you can go to is rough. I do like what I saw though in the last Total Frenzy that you guys playing, because I was looking at the leaderboard. I'm like, man, like Brax and them are not playing good. And then literally that next game, I'm watching you guys drop Popov, hit the zip, and you're just flying at them immediately off rip. And I actually think your team is a uniquely one of those squads that can do that, where it's like you kind of land at a POI, but you're just getting hyper aggro and you're just pushing teams at a pace that like they're not really expecting. And I think especially, and I get really excited for your team, especially on LAN for that reason, because exactly that, like you guys are going to be shooting on LAN, right? Like you're going to be like, hey, we're all on same ping now. Like, welcome to the jungle, brother. Because I think you FIFA Kill and Juki's, really all 3 of you can have those like X Factor moments, right? Where you just have a takeover game. And that's what's like really exciting about some of those squads. It's like, if you guys are on ping and you guys are all feeling good, one of you is going crazy. Like that's where I think you start making some moves. So I'm excited to see what you guys can do on LAN for that, because I mean, I guess my question is, because you hit on it a little bit, was, you know, you're kind of this European super team, realistically, right? Like 3 of arguably the best players in Europe and have been for the last couple of years. Do you feel like, you know, I know you're kind of beating yourself up over it, but do you think there's a level of that because there's expectations sort of from the community for your team to do well? And maybe when you are kind of going through these growing pains, you're kind of just trying to figure it out, like you're beating yourself up a little bit extra because you think like people expect you to be good. And even though you're trying to figure it out, like maybe some of the results aren't there. Do you feel that pressure kind of from a community standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, I feel it because,
sure.
I mean, the past few years we've been known as like the best like one of the best teams in Europe.
Yeah.
So you have that pressure going into tournaments. Maybe not now because we've been playing kind of bad. So like the pressure kind of has been taken off of us a little bit, because people are going like, oh, it's difficult, and geez, they're probably going to come 15th, you know, that sort of thing, which is sad. But yeah, the pressure's kind of laid off us now. But right when we was playing World Series, pressure was on. I feel like the pressure was heavy. Yeah. It's where we've reunited me, FIFA, and Juki's. We're the 3 probably the best players in Europe. We've got a lot of pressures to win, or at least come like top 3. Yeah. I feel like all the viewers watching know that as well. They want us to do well and expect us to do well. So that pressure, I don't know if it really affected us, but there was definitely pressure there. Yeah. Definitely a lot of pressure there, which I like though. I like pressure, so I don't mind that. But now going into World Series finals, I feel like the pressure's kind of been laid off of us because we've been playing pretty bad and we've not really been doing too well in general. So I feel like pressure's we haven't really got much pressure. We're kind of going into it maybe like underdogs. I feel like no one really expects us to do that well.
I think that's valid,
yeah, which I think is silly, because I think when we're all on ping, we're gonna be shooting and we're gonna be killing. So I think we are gonna go into it as underdogs. I think a lot of people are gonna not expect us to even get top 10. So we'll see. We have got a new landing spot and we've been testing, and it is in Popov, so it is next to SSD. Yeah. But I feel like SSD needs a bit of someone there to like tech the contracts, to just be a bit annoying. They need someone. I know there's another team, another EU team, and Zach is and Holo. We're just trying to pop out in the scrims and seeing what it's like. We've got 3 weeks left World Series, so we've got plenty of time to see what it's like. But so far we're enjoying Popov. We've been coming out of Popov with a lot of money. We've been like going back and forth with SSD. We've been fighting Halo too. I just feel like that side of Popov, you can get a lot of money and we don't actually need to fight.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's like I said before, the most important thing is the start. And if you can get a lot of money and if you can get a loadout, if you can get an advance up, I mean, that's all you really need because you've got so much info. So yeah, I mean, we're just testing that spot out. We're gonna see how it is. And yeah, and hopefully on World Series we're gonna be shooting and we're gonna do well.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I like that landing spot for you guys for that exact reason. Like I have hated. That's why I asked Shifty when I talked to him about like how much of your success is related to your POI. Because anybody who's just like, oh well, they get Popov for free, so therefore they win the game. It's like I don't know how true that is. So I love that you guys are able to land at the same POI as them, but also find that like, hey, this is a big POI. Like we can fit 3 teams here, no problem. And sure, maybe you'll a couple games depending on, you know, like you said, depending on where the contracts go and things like that. Like where you'll have to maybe fight them, but it's at least you have enough space that like you guys can rotate out if you need to. You can rotate over towards apartments if you want. You can kind of go up towards resort if you need to, like depending on where zone's pulling and things like that. But like you kind of set yourself up for success. And so I love that. And what I love more is that like you guys aren't just being like, oh, we're going to contest SSD. It's like, no, there's some like logic and reasoning behind it. So especially that now that you're trying it out in scrims. And like I said, I saw that in that Total Frenzy. I like it. I think it's a really smart play. And if you guys are feeling confident on it, and especially like I said, on land, you guys are a really good team. I think you're completely underrated right now. I think going into World Series a little bit, I'll be honest with you. I think people are, I think there are a couple EU teams that are a little bit overrated. I'm going to say, I won't say who, but from a caster perspective and looking at the stats and things, there's a couple of teams who haven't been performing that I wonder how they'll do on LAN. I think on LAN, your guys' veteranship will really come out over a lot of teams. You know, all 3 of you have now having played on LAN multiple times. I think that'll actually come into clutch a lot more than people expect. That's something that we really can't overlook. So I'm excited to see where you guys go. I'm happy to see that, you know, you kind of are trying to test things out and you're getting there. On a more lighthearted note, talking about LAN, you and I were both recently at the Esports World Cup. And I wonder if you had the same reaction I did when kind of going there, in that kind of like looking around, I had this moment where I was like, I shouldn't be here. Like I was just like a kid gaming in my room, and now, you know, we're here in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. What was that like for you as a competitor? Because that's a completely different side of it, being a competitor, but also like understanding that you're now like part of Warzone history, no matter what your placing was, but like you got to play at the first ever like Esports World Cup in the first ever Warzone lobby that was there.
All I can say is wow. It was an experience, like fantastic experience. It was so good. When we got there, the atmosphere just felt like, I was like, wow, I'm in Riyadh playing for $1 million.
Yeah.
And we got to the hotel. The hotel was beautiful. The whole like venue, the whole like the setup in the hotel for the players was like phenomenal. It was all the whole setup was all, you can clearly see it was all it was 4 hour and it was like set up perfect. And then the actual venue itself, the World Cup venue, where the setups were and stuff, was really, really clean too.
Yeah.
And it was really nice. Outside, they had like fountains and they had like banners of Esports World Cup. They had like trophies, statues. It was like a massive building. You walk in, it was so good. The experience, I can't even describe it. It's the best, hands down, the best event that I've been to ever, and it's probably gonna be the best event I've probably been to ever in my life. Maybe World Series could top it. We'll see when we get there, but I don't know. That was hard. It's hard to top. That was really good. I can't lie. It was really good.
No, it was really kind of unreal. That was, to me, was like the thing, was like being part of like Warzone history. And when I looked at a lot of players that were playing there, I was excited to see that, you know, the people who were. I'm kind of curious, like your thought as somebody who's played both and has played Warzone at sort of a high competitive level. Did you like that it was Rebirth versus maybe Big Map, and maybe just kind of a nice change of pace? How did you kind of feel about just sort of the format and it being on Rebirth Island compared to like where we've been slamming our faces against Urzikstan for like 3 months?
For me, it just didn't really make sense because we've got World Series coming up, and we've only been playing Big Map, so why would we change it to Rebirth? But I kind of get it because I think the setups it's obviously less setups and like the space is just less space. It's like hard to fit like a full 40 teams in like a venue, but maybe in the future they can do that, because I think Rebirth isn't competitive at all. I don't think it's a competitive like playlist, to be honest. I think the most competitive is Big Map, and that's where it should stay forever. I don't think it should ever drift off. Maybe it's like some fun tournaments, like play Rebirth, sure, but don't host not like 1 million tournaments on Rebirth, because I just don't think it's competitive at all. I know SSD won, but yeah, I know SSD won, so you can say like, yeah, it's got to be some sort of competitive, right? Because they won. Yeah, but I mean, when you're the best team in the game by far, it doesn't really matter what you play, you'll probably still win.
Sure.
So,
what are the aspects that make it not competitive for you as somebody who is in the thick of it?
I just think like being able to respawn, like that's not. Oh, sorry, my PC keeps my mic is up. Being able to respawn should not be a thing. Like constantly respawn if your team's alive, that's not competitive. You're just coming back. It's just you're coming back over and over and over. I don't think there's no. I don't why. And I'm trying to think what else. Maybe it's super hard to regain, but I guess that could be I don't know if that makes it more competitive because it's hard to regain. Yeah, maybe it does. I'm trying to think like I think the main point is the respawn. Like you're just gonna keep coming back and back and back. Like you can farm land loadouts. Like that's the biggest issue I think with it is maybe if it wasn't Rebirth and the map was like a battle royale and that would be pretty cool.
It was kind of one thing that we were talking about, because it was like we had a lot of people who like this was sort of their first really time being like introduced to Warzone on like the talent side, and so it was like me, Goj, and Enigma were like giving people the like 4-year history lesson of like Warzone. But like people had asked that, they were like, "Oh, like is Rebirth the normal competitive mode?" And we were like, "Absolutely not. Like this is not at all." But I also we were thinking, I wonder if they like changed the respawn timers, right? So that way, like your life had a little bit more weight to it, but if you were able to stay alive, like, cause you know how it like gets more and more and more, like if they made it like act like they basically shortened that where it's like, hey, if you die 3 times pretty quickly, like either you're out or you're waiting like a minute and a half to try and get back into the game or something. So that way you're still forced to like maybe make a buy station play, do something. But I loosely agree with you. I feel like if we want Rebirth to be, a forefront at a competitive tournament like this, I would love to see some like ideas thrown around of how it could be a little bit more competitive, similar to like Big Map, where maybe it is, something like a fire sale at a certain time, or we change respawn timers or things like that. Cause I'm right there with you. I was watching people put teams in a blender where they were just flying in, dying, and it was just the same team over and over and over again. Or you get this, my favorite was when you'd get the 2 teams. I think one was Navi, it was Zeppa, Limax and them, and I think it was the Zix, right, the old Team Falcon squad, Zix, Hamoud and Crims. They were literally just like essentially like filtering in on top of each other at control, and it was a solid, like for half of the map it was just those 2 teams fighting at control, and they were just feeding each other, so it's like things like that. I'm like, hopefully they can do that, and that's why I like asking people, when they say like it's not competitive, I'm like, okay, well, what made it not competitive to you as a competitor? So that way, hopefully, in the future, we can make it better.
Yeah, and I 100% agree with you. I want to touch on this. This is exactly the reason why it's not competitive. From what you just said there, with the 2 teams fighting each other, they know that they can come back. So they're just going to make some stupid play or just a rogue play that might work. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, you die. But then you come back. So like it's like there's no value in life. Like there's no value. Oh, I could die here doing this. Like maybe not do that. Or like, oh, my team doesn't have money. I can't really do this play. Or like, there's only 2 of us up. Like we can't really, it's 2v3. Oh no, but if one of us stays alive, we all come back. So it's like, it's just not the value of life. That's the aspect of it. You can just throw your life away and it doesn't matter. You can make a rubbish play. It doesn't matter. You'll come back. It just, for me, it's not competitive. There's a little bit of competitive into it, but it's not like as competitive as Big Map.
No,
not at all. Big Map's way more competitive.
It's always interesting because I think we even saw like a sort of like meta evolve within the Esports World Cup as the days went on of like what the most effective strategy was. I feel like everybody had this idea in their head that it was going to be like one anchor and you're going to let 2 people fly forward, right? So you have the one person that's there. No, actually, the strategy that ended up working was just death balling. You just all three of you triple stacked, push teams out constantly. And because for the exact reason you just talked about, if you can get a squad wipe, okay, well, now that's completely different, right? Now you're actually taking teams off the map. The map gets a lot more open. You don't have a ton of teams regaining. You watch the lobbies just like by that last day, we're just like dying so fast because people were just death balling. So I hope that we can make it competitive, to your point, you know, find a way to make it competitive, because I think it'd be cool, it'd be fun. But yeah, it's that value of life, like you said, that I think it's what makes Big Map fun to me, right? It's watching that person, they're the last alive, you know, they got to find $3,000 to try and get the teammate back in, you know, and then they go on this insane regain and win the game.
Yeah,
like,
exactly that.
That's what it's all about, you know, to me at the end of the day. You know, that's there. So I'm kind of cool. I'm glad to hear that from you. A couple of quick last hitting questions that I wanted to ask you. One, you have a potentially top 5 Warzone clip of all time. I think that everybody can say that, of your mom busting into your room mid solo YOLO to tell you to lock it in, buddy. That was there. What like, I mean, what was that like for you in the moment? Because you're like locked in, you're watching a ladder. It's like this super hyper tense moment, like where if you play Warzone, you know, like, oh, Len's watching this ladder because this is really important. And your mom just kicks open your door and is telling you to lock it in. What was that like for you?
That's a really amazing clip. That's amazing. Yeah, I'll always laugh at that clip. It'll always bring a smile to my face because yes, it was 100,000. It's hilarious. Like, she comes in, she goes, "Trust your gut, Len. Trust your gut." I'm like, "Mom, I'm mid 100,000 finals. Please close the door. Let me lock in." But yeah, that clip's too funny. Everyone loved that clip after. Everyone was loving it. I think Dexter tweeted it, and like Dick Sucky might have tweeted it as well. Like a lot of the big like news pages tweeted it. It was funny. It was really funny. Do
you find that you have a lot of support from your family on this whole entire like gaming career and gaming adventure that you're on?
Yeah. They all support it heavily. My mum's always supported me. She's my biggest supporter, my mum. She's always supported me ever since I first started like doing Twitch and playing wages back in the day, like game battles. She never used to tell me to get off or anything like that, you know. She used to always like, crack on, do it. So she's been a big reason as to why I'm probably successful. She's always supported me. My dad was a little bit on the edge at start, like you know your dad's, you know, he was like he was a bit, you know, he didn't really know too much about it, so he was a bit like on edge. But then as soon as I started doing better and stuff like that, he was like, "Oh yeah, I can see you doing well, son. Like I'm happy for you," and stuff like that. And he supported me in that way. So yeah, my whole family is very supportive. Very supportive.
Yeah, that's super cool to hear. Do you ever find that you like draw on that support maybe when things like aren't going great, if you're kind of questioning like, man, am I even good? Like, do you kind of use that to sort of fuel your fire sometimes when you kind of need to try and get your spirits back up, to get that confidence back, like you mentioned earlier?
Not sometimes, not really though, not really. I usually just I usually kind of just forget about it and then just like go to the next one, sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, I try to like forget about that and then move on and then go to the next tournament. Forget about that, move on and go to the next one. That's what I usually do to help. But sometimes it does stick. Sometimes, you know, it's hard. Well, yeah, I'd say I'm pretty decent at regaining. I'm not too bad. Like, obviously that period of like playing bad or whatever and doing bad might hit for a little bit, but then I'll regain the next day and regain the next tournament. I'll be back. So yeah.
All right. I like hearing that, because I think a lot of people can beat themselves up, you know, really heavy when it comes to that. And like you said, where if you have those moments where it's just, you know, you're maybe you have a string of just some bad tournaments, it's whatever, you know, I can't tell you how many tweets I've seen where people are like, I'm quitting because I'm terrible at the game. And it's like, well, it's really not the best way to try and like reset it and get back in. So I like that you have that mindset of like, hey, let's just forget it. We'll move on. That's there. What other, you know, when you think about the things that like you've sort of employed over your competitive career, you know, things like, you know, exactly that of like, hey, I try not to let the last tournament really affect me moving forward. Is there any other sort of like mindset things that you really try and keep at the front of your brain to make sure that you can be the best competitor that you can be? I don't care if it's like a ritual. I don't care if it's just like things you always try and tell yourself to like, you know, make sure that you're playing at your best. Is there anything like that? Because I feel like I'm always curious to see from different competitor to competitor, what are they doing to like the habits and things to like try and be the best?
I don't have no ritual, but I want to have a ritual because I feel like it's important to have something to remind yourself, like, listen, you are good. You are like one of the best. Look in and keep that confidence or keep your head up. You might have made one bad play, but it doesn't define you. Like you've made 10 other good plays that have got 2 pieces or whatever. I think you need to have that mindset as well. Like you can't put yourself down like over something bad. Say if you do like lose a gunfight and it was quite bad, you need to keep that mindset of like, you can't let that affect you going forward, because if you do a bad play and you let it affect you, you'd be like, I just costed the last game, and it might be in your head for the whole tournament, and you don't want that. That's one thing you do not want. You want to. Well, I'm quite bad at this because I do think about like if I get shit on or something, I'm like shit, like I need to win that. Like I can't, and it kind of stays in my head. Yeah. And I try not to let it affect me for the rest of the tournament, but sometimes it does. I used to be really bad, like really bad with that. I used to like back in Verdansk and Caldera, if I lost a gunfight that like even was it like a 60-40 where I should be winning it, I lose it, I beat myself up, and the whole tournament I just beat myself up the whole way, and I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I got shit on 3 maps ago, like what, why? Like he's still in my head and he still plays my mind, but I'm a lot better now. Like if I lose a gunfight or something like that, I probably should have won, or I made a bad play. I don't let it like it'll affect me in the moment for like maybe the rest of the map, maybe, and then but after that, forget about it. I move on, and we just and it's a new map, brand new slate, and that's something I've learned, and I think it's important for competitors to do that too, because a lot of competitors, like I used to be like that. It used to get like that used to affect me, and it used to bring down my confidence, bring down the way I played, bring down like everything really, and like I said earlier, confidence is, I think it's the biggest thing with skill. You need confidence. If you don't have it, you're just going to play bad. So yeah, a ritual. I have no ritual, but that plays about in my mind, and that's what you should do. Yeah. Really, is just forget about it and move on. That's the best thing you should do.
I think that is such a crucial piece of like advice for really for anyone. Like that's just like clutch life advice, right? Is that like, if there's anything like, you know, that goes wrong, you can't dwell on the fact that it happened. All you can do is learn from it, right? So, and I think that's honestly something we've seen a lot of people start doing, where it is less of that like, man, I should have won that gunfight. Like, well, but now you can actually maybe objectively look at it and say, well, how was I positioned? Was I positioned in the best way? Like, could I have held an off angle to maybe win the fight? Could I have taken it a different way? Did I even have to take that fight, you know, at the same time? Kind of like walking through that and just like becoming better at the end of the day, you know, kind of being able to look at those situations. So I like that you've kind of had that growth as a person, because I think it's really easy to like you said, to get caught up on what happened in the past and that mistake that you made and it affecting your confidence. So I think, you know, learn from it. Yes, it happened, whatever. That's cool. This is what I did wrong. Here's what I can do better. Hey, let's move on, because I gotta win the next gunfight. Exactly. That's there. So I love that. I think that's super huge. One last question for you, Lenun, before I'm going to let you go. I asked Shifty this, and he gave me a pretty succinct answer. I think you might have a little bit of a better one. If you can make one single change to competitive Warzone esports that would have the biggest impact, what are you changing to maybe help push the scene forward a little bit more? What's something that you've kind of maybe had in your brain that you said, you know, I think if we were able to do this, we'd be in a lot better place?
I think maybe I've actually not seen if Shifty said this. I heard it, but league. I think a Warzone league would really like change the whole view and the whole of Warzone competitive in a general, in like a, what's the word, in like a
general sense.
In general. I think it'll change it for the better. I think if Activision did do something with that and like made a competitive like sort of CDL like Warzone League,
Sure.
I think everyone would take it 100 times serious. Like imagine we had contracts and imagine it's like CDL but it's just Warzone, and we had that sort of like funding, we had all that. I think that would be amazing. That would really change Warzone. I think that would for the better. I think I mean, even the viewers would take it serious. I think the players would take it more serious. Not like they're not taking it serious now, but
Sure.
they take it way more serious when if there's like an actual league. And I think it'd bring in more viewers. It'd bring more attention. But for Activision, it's a bit of a risk. I think that's the main thing. It's like a risk to like fund, see if it does well. But I think, in my opinion, it would do really well.
Yeah, I think there's like an opportunity for sure. You know, what's one of the things I've been trying to push for a little bit more because, you know, I look at games, you know, like Apex that have multiple LANs a year, right? So even though it's not a league, it is, hey, there are these multiple big tournaments enough of the year that organizations feel confident funding a roster, right? So being able to give contracts and things like that for some of these orgs because, hey, you have 4 opportunities to earn, you know, $500,000 potentially or more at an event. For us, this is the first year we've had 2 major LAN events, right, in a year. You know, other than that, it is mostly sort of community-based tournaments where it's, you know, 10K, 20K, whatever. So I like that. I would love to see something a little bit more formulated. The idea I've always had is, you know, let's have a couple big tournaments throughout the year that then lead up to World Series and kind of like flow into it. So that way, you know, I mean, granted, I actually really like this year's World Series format as compared to last year. The whole stage 1, stage 2 thing was like a little too confusing. I like that you can make money through it, but it was like stage 1 kind of didn't matter, you know, and like people just got money, and then it was like, oh, stage 2 actually matters. Whereas like this year, it was like actually like every stage had some weight to it and like putting all the money at the end. I really liked it. But it'd be kind of cool to see almost like a halfway point between them where it's like, hey, maybe in March or May, right, we have a really big tournament. And depending on your placement there is you get some extra points going into World Series, right? But it's not like if you didn't play well there, you can't ever make it in. So I would love to see that too, man, because I want to tell you what, as a caster at EWC, being able to say organization names was so sick. Like I've been watching esports for so long, and to say like, just be able to say, here goes Na'Vi pushing, you know, team vitality is like such a cool phrase to be able to say rather than like, here goes Juki's Lenun and FIFA kill going up against Tommy. It's like, okay, like this is so mentally shocking that's there. But great conversation, dude. Great insight.
Thank you.
I love you as a competitor. Like I said, you will
as a caster.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate it. I mean it when I say UK's hypest player. I have big hopes for you guys.
Thank you.
On LAN, I think you guys are going to actually perform. I think you are underrated. I think you're going to really perform well over a lot of teams that are there. So with that, I'm going to let you go, man. But thanks for stopping in. Thanks for hanging out. And we'll see you on the battlefield in some upcoming tournaments.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you for having me as well.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you getting me on. And yeah, I've enjoyed my time. It's been really nice speaking to you. So thank you.
All right. See you later, man.
Have a good one.